America being a monarchy, this is somewhat utopian to be honest, but what if we could change the history of our country? In today's video we will analyze from different perspectives how monarchical America could have been. Are you ready for this exciting journey? Grab your favorite soda and enjoy. Here we go. In this hypothetical scenario of monarchy in the United States, the royal family that would ascend to the throne could have been composed of prominent figures with carefully selected lineages to consolidate their position of power. Let us visualize a royal family whose origins can be traced back to key leaders of the American Revolution, thus establishing a connection to independence. This family might have emerged as defenders of the monarchy, convincing the populace that their leadership was essential to the stability and prosperity of the nation. The chief monarch, perhaps a direct descendant of a revolutionary leader such as George Washington, would be the central figure in this arena. His roles and responsibilities would range from political decision-making to ceremonial representation of the country. Are you imagining what America might look like yet? Hey, by the way, yes, you're the one I'm referring to. You haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you're going to love it. To provide context, consider royal historical figures such as Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom or King Louis XIV of France to understand the ceremonial and political role this U.S. monarch could play. In addition, members of the royal family could have specific roles, such as ministers or advisors, responsible for key areas of government. These roles could be compared to the historical positions of prime ministers, royal advisors, or even counts and dukes who played important roles in European courts. I know it's a bit complicated to imagine, but let's give it a try. The process of ascension to the throne could be based on direct inheritance, where the firstborn of the royal family would assume the leading role. This hereditary system could have been supported by traditions and ceremonies that reflected the nation's history and values. In this alternative universe where the United States is a monarchy, the fictional constitution would play a fundamental role in the organization of government. Imagine a Magna Carta tailored to this system, merging monarchical elements with traditional governmental structures. We, the sovereign people, by virtue of monarchical heritage and in pursuit of lasting stability and prosperity, do establish this constitution for the monarchy of the United States of America. The monarch, known as the sovereign, would be the central and representative figure of the executive power. He would be in charge of fundamental decision-making and ceremonial representation. To balance this power, a council of ministers would be appointed, similar to a cabinet, to assist the sovereign in the day-to-day administration of the government. The royal parliament, composed of a chamber of nobles and a people's chamber, would reflect the bicameral structure. The Chamber of Nobles would consist of aristocratic members appointed by the sovereign or elected from among the noble families, while the People's Chamber would be elected by popular vote. This mixed design would attempt to incorporate democratic elements without losing aristocratic influence. An independent judicial system would be established, with magistrates appointed by the sovereign and ratified by the royal parliament. This system would guarantee impartiality and the fair application of the laws. To avoid excessive concentration of power, the Constitution would include counterbalancing measures. The People's Chamber would have the power to propose and pass laws, while the House of Nobles could review and suggest amendments. In addition, Parliament would be able to veto decisions of the sovereign by a qualified majority. Provisions protecting individual rights and fundamental freedoms would be included. These guarantees could reflect principles similar to those of the Bill of Rights along the lines of European constitutional monarchies. In the hypothetical scenario where a monarchy influenced the evolution of American culture, we could witness a unique fusion of European traditions and homegrown values, creating a distinctive cultural identity. Imagine majestic and solemn ceremonies honoring the sovereign and the royal family. Investiture events, similar to coronations, could become national occasions, full of pomp and circumstance. These ceremonies would not only highlight monarchical continuity, but also the nation's rich history. Annual festivals dedicated to the royal family could be held throughout the country. These events would fuse traditional festive elements with monarchical pomp and protocol. Parades, concerts and cultural events would highlight diversity and unity under the monarchy's leadership. A special day would be established to celebrate royal heritage, honoring the history and achievements of the American royal family. People would wear clothing inspired by the fashions of the royal court, and cultural and educational events would highlight the importance of the monarchy in the evolution of the country. Annual fairs could be held to honor noble families and their contribution to society. These events would highlight the arts, crafts and culture that have been passed down through the generations, promoting a sense of national identity linked to the aristocracy. Can you imagine sporting events and competitions in which noble families compete in a friendly manner? Such games would not only promote camaraderie, but would also be opportunities for noble families to interact with the populace in a more relaxed atmosphere. Foreign policy would also be marked by dynastic alliances, where royal marriages would be used strategically to strengthen relations with other nations. Family connections could become an essential pillar of diplomacy, influencing international decisions and fostering stability through marital ties. The sovereign and the royal family could play a key role in promoting U.S. culture internationally. Cultural events and diplomatic visits would be used to strengthen the country's image abroad, creating closer ties based on an appreciation of shared history and cultural heritage. The United States could establish particular relationships with former monarchical powers in Europe. Connections based on similar governance structures could generate strategic alliances and collaboration on global issues, sharing common interests with other nations ruled by constitutional monarchies. The monarchical system could lead to a more personalized diplomacy, where international relations are based on royal lineages. Ambassadors and envoys could be selected not only for their expertise, but also for their connection to the royal family, bringing with them an additional level of trust and familiarity in negotiations. However, conflicts linked to dynastic rivalries could also arise. Competitions for influence and power could manifest themselves both domestically and internationally, shaping conflicts that are intertwined with issues of kinship and royal inheritance. U.S. foreign policy may be intrinsically linked to monarchical changes in other nations. Abdications, ascensions, and changes in royal leadership in the international arena could affect alliances and challenge geopolitical stability, making diplomacy even more dynamic and complex. Now we'll talk about technology in this American monarchy, but first, subscribe. This monarchy would seek to integrate technology effectively to stay relevant and efficient. They would establish partnerships with technology companies to drive innovation and improve government administration. In addition, they could implement measures to ensure cybersecurity and privacy for citizens in an increasingly digital world. In the face of globalization, the monarchy would focus its efforts on forging international strategic alliances. They would actively engage in global organizations, using their influence to address cross-border issues such as climate change and international trade. The royal family would become ambassadors for the nation, participating in international summits and events to strengthen America's position on the world stage. How would the United States fare under the reign of a monarchy? Would it seek to balance tradition with innovation to ensure that the form of government remains relevant in an ever-changing world? The possibilities are fascinating. Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to continue exploring this and other scenarios. See you next time.